Module 3, standing postures. Starting with Tadasana. Tadasana. Feet hip width apart. Feet slightly pigeon-toed, so the outer edge of the feet are the parallel parts. You will feel pigeon-toed. Locking the knees, but then not locking them. So what that looks like is, in my body, my ballet body, yes, I've got socks and shoes on because it's icy outside and I haven't acclimatised yet. So if I'm going to lock my knees, I'm quite bowed, aren't I? That's not good. I need to straighten my knees until they're there. Now they're straight, and that takes a lot of gripping in the back of the knee. I'm activating my, the end of the calf muscle. I'm gripping the knee, I'm gripping the quad. It's quite strong work. Okay, so that's my leg in Tadasana. And drawing in at the pelvic floor, drawing in at the tummy, squeezing buttocks, tuck tail under, lifting up at the sternum bone. This is the sternum bone, big bone, lifted up, shoulder blades back toward one another. Drop the shoulders down, looking straight ahead, and arms up. This is Urdhva Hasta, mountain pose. So here we have the regular mountain pose, hands by side, Tadasana, mountain pose. Or Urdhva Hasta, which means hands up. Either way, you've seen many photographs of that one, that one. There are so many versions of the same posture. It doesn't really matter. What does matter is we can stay in this posture for a minute or two, closing the eyes, and ground and earth into the body and attend to stillness. Okay, very nice work. Moving on to our next standing posture. Drut Utkatasana. I'll do the side version, then I'll demonstrate at the wall. My feet are hip width apart. My pelvis is over my heels. There's two ways of going into this. Simone, thank you for your version of this last week. I was taught to reach and drop. We're trying to keep the heels down and the chest up. The other way to go into this, care of beautiful Simone, was drop into a nice squat and then peel out of it into the posture, which I actually prefer. Let's do either one. Let's do the one that starts at the bottom, leaning against the wall. I have practiced this at the wall because my lower lumbar is compromised. In fact, most of my spine is compromised. And I'm protecting my spine by doing this at the wall. It's a very strong posture. I would consider this a medium to advanced posture, only because of the strain it puts on the centre of the body, especially if you don't have a long Achilles tendon. My Achilles is extraordinarily short, so that adds extra stress. If you have a lovely long Achilles, this is easier. So I'm actually going to start by leaning on the wall, bending my knees. I'm going to make my feet further out. This is really an exercise in getting the quads strong, to be honest. So, sliding down the wall and arms up. And I will sit here. So now that my posture, my pelvis is supported, I can work on strengthening my knees, my core, and my quads. It's very strong. I will coming out of that. Okay, so that's Drut Utkatasana. Dvikonasana. So, we'll see many different versions of this in many different books. We start with our feet approximately 1 metre apart. I'll demonstrate this way first, then I'll go sideways. Feet approximately 1 metre apart, coming out for the wall. From the wall, that'll be obvious why in a minute. Not locking my knees, slightly bending them, just a fraction. And then I'm going to put my hands behind my back. You'll see what that looks like in a minute. And now I'm going to come over and rest there. Do whatever you want with your hands, I like that. And what we're trying to achieve here is something quite strong. And I'll demonstrate that now. I'll demonstrate the arms and the interesting bit now. Excuse me. So, my feet are a good metre apart. They are pigeon-toed. I'm tucking the tailbone under. I'm moving the weight onto the heels, onto the whole foot. I'm drawing my shoulder blades back. And I'm now clasping my hands. So that's what I did that you couldn't see. And now coming forward, pelvic tilt, activating tummy, pelvic floor. And the interesting part is here. See, I'm inclined to want to do this because I've got quite a strong rotation of quite a long hamstring. But the posture is, excuse me, I'm wheezy. The posture is about stopping oneself halfway and then doing the shoulder rotate. So how do you know you're halfway? Well, we need to find that out for ourselves. There's a feeling of letting go of the abs when you go down. So where do the abs engage? For me, it's about there. So I'm hoping my spine is parallel with the floor. And coming out of that. Lovely. Moving on. Dvikonasana. Uttanasana. Hand to knee pose. Uttanasana. Excuse me. Okay, generally speaking, this is what it looks like. Pigeon-toed, reaching up, folding forward. And we can hang down. We can play with our hands. We can do whatever we want with our hands. Looking through the legs. I'll demonstrate this sideways. Coming up. Always bending your knees when you come up. Well, if you need to. Let me demonstrate again, sideways. Because I have a long hamstring, I can touch the ground easily. And here's a variation for those of you with long hamstrings as well. Now, I like to really relax in this. If you do this, you're less likely to overbalance. I'm putting a little bit of weight onto my hands. A little bit of weight onto my hands, which of course is the opposite to that. You can even do that, so that you can relax in the posture and not have to be too static. You can move a little bit. When we get into these, when we're able to get into these difficult, strong postures that don't require a lot of muscle work, gee, it's lovely when you can let go of them. I recommend it. Okay, the same posture at the wall. Excuse my bum. Facing the wall. This is another fun one from Mr. Iyengar. Reaching up. Actually, I did that the wrong way, didn't I? Starting up here. This is all very odd, isn't it? But this is so that we create space for the torso. You can't go forwards, you have to go sideways. Now I'm going to shuffle my feet in a little bit closer because we can't slide the feet on the sticky mat. Making sure my sneakers are close to the wall. And now I'm going to inch my way down as far as my hamstrings will let me. And I'm going to wrap my arms around one another and I'm going to have a little rest here. This is quite pleasant if you've got a long hamstring. Now I can't demonstrate the side version of this because we don't have a side wall. It's very pleasant and quite strong. And how do you know, excuse me, it's coming up slow so I don't head rush. How do you know you're ready to do it that way? I'll show you. There's a trick. We need to know this. It's not a trick, it's a piece of information. When your face is looking at your shins, which is a fairly long hamstring, then you're ready to try going lower. But if you're still up here with your face looking at your thighs or your knees, you're not ready. Your hamstrings aren't long enough to let you do it. So be careful. Next one. Moving through the standing postures and the ones we didn't do. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Dog down. And variation. Starting sitting on heels. The lovely long pose of the child. I'm going to go onto tippy toes and I'm going to take off. And this is a long dog down. A short dog down is reached differently. I started here. A short dog down would start here in the cat. Short dog down, easy dog down, tippy toes, bum up. Long dog down, which is the more difficult one, we take this posture back a little bit. We lengthen the body and lengthen the arms. So make it about 4 inches longer. In other words, the distance between the hands and the toes is about 4 inches. And when we're in this pose there's a lot of pressure on the upper arms. So I've discovered a way to reduce that pressure so I can stay in the posture for longer. Now you will see it now, see my little trick, and you might think, well, it's no longer the correct posture. And look, fair enough too, the line is gone when I do this little trick, but I'm still in a semi-inversion, and I can stay there for a long time. So the blood is rushing to the brain, the oxygen is flushing through the brain. It's still bloody good work, isn't it? So this is me opening into a full stretch, reaching. I'm reaching and stretching. So this is the Iyengar, when I'm reaching and stretching. And now I'm going to do my version of coming back and clunking. So certainly the line has changed a lot, hasn't it? But I'm very comfortable in this. It's a lot less strain on the shoulder joint, which may not be relevant to you, but once you've had tiny soft tissue shoulder injuries and they kind of build up in life, you do want to look after your shoulders. Okay, so that's the open reaching, that's the closed